We're going to start talking right now about the through the door, sort of first impressions of what happens when you attend our congregations on a Sunday morning. Just don't creep them out. That is the unofficial, but completely, truly operational ministry statement of our hospitality team. As you might have heard before, we started in October of 2005 together, and we didn't launch worship until January 2007. In that time between then, we not just did we take the time to sort of internalize our message and state what we term our DNA, our values, beliefs, vision, and mission, but we also spent a lot of time going out, seeing the best practices in other congregations. And the best practices we found were congregations in which, as I spoke about earlier, new people could find their way in clearly. The less best practices fell into two categories. One, we were treated as strangers, really almost as interlopers upon someone else's territory. But I want to say almost worse than that was scary love. When you walk into a congregation and you immediately have people glomming onto you and you're asked to identify yourself, who you are, what are you doing there? And there is that kind of almost a too quick attachment. And so that's why it's the unofficial motto of our hospitality team. Just don't creep them out. The second thing there is, would you do this all with me, this little practice, this little thing? Would you smile? I see a few people in the back not smiling. Come on. That is the best thing that a congregation can do to lay out their welcome mat. Because you are inviting people into your spiritual home. With a smile, we show a sense of pride and place and happiness that new people are coming to our spiritual home. We don't want people to be ignored or overwhelmed. We have a few practices in terms of greeting people that we have not met before that avoid the question, is this your first time here? Because in fact, there might be a new greeter on the door and that person or family has been there 3 times before, and that puts them on the defensive, having to explain, well, no, actually I'm not that new here. And so we use some different tactics, very simple, called, I don't think I've met you before. Welcome to Wellsprings. I'm glad you're here. And the thing is, people who are brand new will announce themselves. Because you can see it sometimes in their unsteady gait or in the fact that they ask questions. And at that point and in that place, then we can start to invite them in. Would they like a name tag? Would they like some information about our youth spirit programs? Now, if you go to the next slide, please. We try very, very intentionally to take on the kind of imaginative perspective that those of us who are insiders need to understand the mindset and the experience of people who are new. And so we very much try to practice a low barriers form of entrance into Wellsprings. We have an atmosphere in which music, modern music, popular music is being played at such a level that it's not too loud, but people are walking into a place in which they can feel energy. They can understand that the minute they walk in, it's one of the good things actually about having volume at a certain level. It makes people raise their voices just a little bit more, and it raises the energy level within the congregation. So they're being invited into something that maybe is familiar to them, because at least they might know the music. We have low barriers physically in terms of, basic accessibility to the physical space. We rent by the space. By the way, we're in a school. But also it's a low barriers in terms of information. I'm going to be talking about that a little bit more. And also low barriers in terms of relationships. We really try and break up the naturally forming clusters of people who already know each other before the service and after the service, so that we are taking a new person over who does want to engage in conversation, and we're saying, have you met this person? Just knowing the little bit I do about you in the 30 seconds we've been talking, it sounds like you might have a connection. So we're trying to break down that natural tendency in congregational life that wants to sort of close itself up. And we're always recognizing that new people might want to get connected just as much as the established people. They just don't know how yet. And so that's very much on us. What I want to talk about in the next segment is that we have many different opportunities and options for new folks to opt in, but it is never a requirement for them to opt in.